Stalin was paid less than a factory manager, wore the same battered tunic for decades, and left no official bank account, or so the story goes. But in reality, he wielded personal control over the entire Soviet treasury, stockpiling hundreds of tons of gold, 20 private estates, and enough stolen art and foreign cash to fill secret Swiss accounts. When the regime collapsed, not a single ruble reached his family, because by the time the records opened, Stalin's fortune had already vanished. How did the dictator who owned everything leave nothing? Who pocketed his billions when the Soviet Union fell? The answer begins with a lie that shaped a nation. Official photographs show Stalin in his threadbare military tunic, standing in front of a bare desk or greeting workers at a modest dacha. Soviet newsreels praised his supposed simplicity, a leader who, according to state newspapers, drew the same salary as a factory director. The payroll ledgers list 10,000 rubles a year, the same as a mid-level manager. No bank accounts in his name, no private property deeds, not even a family car registered to the Jugashvili household. Propaganda posters painted him as the ultimate proletarian, untouched by the temptations of luxury. His personal life, at least on film, was a lesson in self-denial, a battered pipe, a handful of books, a Spartan office. When the subject of wealth came up, Stalin's loyalists repeated the same line. Molotov, in a taped interview decades later, summed it up. Stalin didn't need money, he owned everything. The myth was airtight. In the official story, Stalin's only riches were the trust of the people and the victories of socialism. The numbers, 10,000 rubles, a small dacha, a simple uniform, were meant to end the conversation. But beneath the surface, the scale of what he controlled would leave that modest salary looking like a bad joke. Gold reserves weighing over 2,000 metric tons sat in Soviet vaults, their movements recorded in ledgers that required Stalin's personal sign-off. On paper, these reserves belonged to the state. In practice, nothing moved without his approval. Treasury records from the 1940s show that Stalin's authorization was needed for every major gold transfer, whether to fund wartime industry or to send bullion abroad through secret NKVD channels. The number, 2,050 metric tons, was unmatched anywhere outside the United States. Estate registries tell a different story from the propaganda. Stalin's name never appeared on a deed, but more than 20 dachas, hunting lodges, and palatial retreats were built and maintained for his exclusive use. Each property was staffed by loyal guards and supplied through special channels, from the Black Sea coast to the forests outside Moscow. Inventories kept for internal use list not just the locations, but also the imported furniture, rare wines, and luxury goods stockpiled inside. In a locked room at the Kuntsevo dacha, librarians cataloged over 20,000 books, many annotated in Stalin's own hand. Wine cellars held bottles shipped in from France and Georgia, tracked by serial number, some never even opened. The scale of these private collections, hidden behind the myth of austerity, was measured in ledgers, not headlines. Officially, none of it belonged to him. In reality, it was all his to command. The difference between Stalin's salary and his reach was not just a matter of numbers. It was the gap between what the world was told and what the archives still struggled to explain. Stalin's heart stopped beating at 9:50 p.m. on March 5, 1953. Within hours, his body was carried out of the Kuntsevo dacha through a private tunnel, away from the eyes of staff and the world. By sunrise, the first cracks in the official story were already showing. Khrushchev arrived to inspect the dacha and found the bedroom safe standing open and empty. No cash, no jewels, not a single document left behind. The logs from the night were missing pages. Staff who kept careful inventories of the wine cellar reported that more than 500 bottles had vanished by March 10, 1953, with no record of who took them or when. Stalin's desk, usually cluttered with papers and personal effects, had been swept clean before his daughter could even enter the room. Not a single item was logged or accounted for. The official inventory stopped where the secrets began. In the chaos of those first 2 days, the line between state property and private loot dissolved completely. The most powerful man in the country was gone, and so was anything that could be carried away. Behind the closed doors of the state bank, a secret account known only to the highest circle funneled confiscated assets straight into Stalin's hands. This fund, whispered about as Envelope Number 1, was fed by the property of purge victims, homes, jewelry, even family heirlooms seized and converted into hard rubles. By the early 1950s, estimates placed its balance at 800 million rubles, a sum that dwarfed any official state budget for personal expenditures. No oversight committee, no audit trail, and no signatures beyond Stalin's own ever touched these ledgers. When Khrushchev ordered a review after Stalin's death, the files had vanished. No receipts, no withdrawal slips, not even a list of who had access. Bank memos from the era hint at routine deliveries labeled only as special orders, always marked for the attention of the General Secretary. The mechanism was simple. What the state took, Stalin could spend. Without checks or records, the entire fund could disappear overnight, leaving nothing but rumors and missing numbers in the state accounts. Beria moved quickly. On June 26, 1953, Soviet security forces arrested him at a Central Committee meeting, ending months of whispered suspicion. Inside his Moscow residence, investigators cracked open his personal safe and counted nearly $2 million in foreign currency, bundles of dollars, pounds, and Swiss francs, all stashed away without explanation. Beria insisted the money was for state operations, but the timing was impossible to ignore. Just weeks earlier, Stalin's safe at Kuntsevo stood empty, its contents vanished without a trace. 18 gold bars, weighing a combined 225 kilograms, were missing from the secret bunker room. Not a single receipt, not a single ledger entry. Years later, a Russian banking report claimed that withdrawal slips from Swiss accounts matched Beria's handwriting, though no court ever saw the evidence. The KGB investigator in charge of the case put it bluntly, he robbed the dictator's corpse. With Beria executed by December 1953, the full trail of cash, gold, and secrets was buried along with him. The question of guilt stayed open, stuck between official silence and the cold logic of what disappeared. Swiss banking records released in 2008 confirmed that $12 million, valued in 1953 dollars, once sat in accounts linked to Soviet proxies. That money vanished within 3 years of Stalin's death. Russian claims in the 1990s pushed estimates far higher. Investigators suggested as much as $200 to $500 million moved through diplomatic pouches, shell companies, and trusted agents. Switzerland's strict secrecy laws kept the true figures locked away. By the time the Cold War ended, most of the money was long gone. Attempts at restitution yielded only a fraction of what was suspected. Russian negotiators settled for partial releases and vague promises. The financial trail did not end with cash. In 1945, Red Army trophy brigades swept through Germany and seized over 2,000 artworks for Stalin's private reserves. Masterpieces disappeared into Kremlin vaults, their origins erased, their value today estimated in the billions of dollars. Decades later, researchers tracing these hidden collections found paintings and sculptures quietly absorbed into state museums. Their Nazi provenance went unacknowledged. Foreign governments demanded their return, and Moscow refused. The global footprint of Stalin's secret wealth stretched far beyond Soviet borders, leaving a legacy of vanished fortunes and unresolved claims. The Sochi estate, once Stalin's private Black Sea retreat, became a showcase for the next generation of Soviet rulers. Official decrees transferred the dachas and palaces to state use. No inheritance, no compensation, not even a token memento for the family. Svetlana Alliluyeva, Stalin's daughter, summed it up in her memoir, "Father died rich, we inherited poverty." The state's gain was the family's erasure. Meanwhile, the black market began to echo with the dictator's ghost. Auction catalogs in London and Geneva listed items with impeccable provenance. A diamond-encrusted pipe, once held in Stalin's hand, sold for $52,000 in 1997. His annotated copy of Machiavelli fetched $78,000 in 2011. The Russian State Library's audit found more than 6,000 of his books missing, many surfacing in private collections across Europe. The system kept the real estate and the art. The rest slipped quietly into the shadows, leaving only breadcrumbs for those who cared to look. Today, Stalin's vanished fortune still props up those in power, while his victims and heirs remain empty-handed. The billions he controlled remind us, in Russia, wealth and memory are never truly settled. The real legacy is not what was stolen, it is who still spends it. Share your thoughts below.